we are on the 20th, number 20.
Number 20.
Remember when we started back? Well, it was on the anniversary of your
April.
starting.
It was the first week of April.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of. You were starting your voiceover career a year and 4 months ago or something
Correct.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's number 20. You know, one of the things that we're trying to do, as people know, you know, as they watch this, we have some voiceover things, but we're voiceover related, but we're all related, but we're also doing some local things just around Mesomaney, having business people and stuff like that. And so I was just thinking how it'd be nice to be able to sometime highlight some of the things that are happening in the area. Like, for instance, not to get off on it, but like things like Wild West Days here in Mesomaney. I mean, that's something that's, 60 years old or so. And it's an event that they have here on a weekend in September. That's coming up soon.
Almost like the carnival.
Yeah, it's a carnival, parade, games, all sorts of stuff. And so it'd be kind of fun to talk about that. It'd be kind of fun to talk about, just other local events, maybe at the school. We have a small school district here, promote things like that. And, we're kind of evolving as a podcast.
We've talked about doing that, yep. Yeah. And we'll get into that more, but we're in the works of maybe restructuring some of our podcast and doing some things, adding some things, maybe getting rid of some things. So we'll probably come out with a video at some point explaining what we're going to do and how that's all going to work. So you guys will know what to look for. So
yeah, people are just demanding that we keep voiceover, and they're clamoring over wanting more local stuff. Clamoring.
They sure are.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've dressed a little more warmly. Here it is August, and yet it's chilly outside, kind of rainy.
67, 68 degrees today.
But we're going to the All-Star game.
Hometown All-Star game.
Home talent team. You play on it. Mm-hmm. Drew plays on it. Joe plays on it. Deshaun plays on it. John coaches. I've done the PA for it. Mom and I do some different things for it. But there's an All-Star game in Madison at the Duck Pond, which it's at...
it's a Northwoods League baseball team.
Yeah. The Mallards of Madison. Mm-hmm. And Drew is pitching.
Yep.
And Tim Hewitt.
So is Timmy.
From the baseball
both
team.
Pitchers.
Yep. So that'll be kind of fun. It'll be chilly. We'll have to get maybe some more clothes on, especially for Mom and I. But
it'll be fun.
It'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Get to get out and do something.
So what do we got today? I've got my Todd's Tips.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about that already?
No.
Okay. Todd's Tips. Roy Owens.
Roy Owens
is our interview. He's
sure
a voiceover
is.
talent. He's a full-time police officer, and his son has an interesting story.
Yeah, we won't ruin it right now.
Yeah. We'll let Roy talk about that. Yeah. And then we're going to have some fun again. I don't know if it'll be the day in history or weird laws or one of the states.
That's one thing you can count on with us. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to have fun.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, yeah. Big time fun.
Anyway, let's get into it.
Hey, this is Bill DeWees, pro voiceover talent and voiceover career coach. And this is the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast. I'm Hudson. As always, that's my dad, and this is where we talk about all things voiceover and sometimes a little bit more, as you've seen. This is our 20th episode, so we've made it to 20. I don't know if anybody's asked us to, hey, make it to 20. We really want to see if you're legitimate and make it past 20. I think they've made it to 20.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
That's what they're saying.
How long are they going to go?
How long are they going to go?
What do they do do they work at all?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they're going to ask.
Yeah, and you think about those people that have 200 under their belt or 500. I mean, that's just unbelievable. But, you know, when you start out, you just kind of go, and we like doing it.
We do.
Would we do it if nobody watched?
It'd be harder. It'd be harder to not have anybody watching.
Because it's just kind of fun to hang out and
we
talk
would
about
watch
things.
We would do it, and then we would watch
it. And then what we should do is, like they do on YouTube, we should then react to it. So do it. We'd have
3 different aspects of that.
Watch it, and then react to it and watch it.
Wow. That would be a production.
That's just plain dumb, is what it is.
I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe people would like that. Anyway, what do you got for us today?
Well, we do appreciate the people that do watch.
Yes,
because
we do.
We do have a growing viewership. We really do. And thank you for watching, because a lot of our videos are well over 100 now viewers.
Yeah,
so
they
thank
are,
you.
which is more than I would have ever guessed we would have gotten right away.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
So today we're continuing my series on Todd's do's and don'ts. And as we always do, Demond is going to put up these caveats, things like, I'm 62 years old. You might be like Hudson, 26 years old, or somewhere in between. I have an established VO career. I'm into my 13th year. You're, not much
almost
over 13
a year and a
months.
half.
Yeah,
almost a year and a half.
So there's just lots of differences, and you can see these differences here. And so when I talk about these things, they're not something I'm telling you have to do. You run your business the way you want to run your business. I'll run mine the way I think I need to. But there's almost always some application. Like I'll watch coaches and I'll watch VO, clinics and different things like that. And even if we're at different places, and maybe even different places in the world, there's something you can usually pick up if you're ready to learn. So today I want to talk about the fact that I don't want free and pay-to-play sites to become a huge part of my income streams. I want there to be diversity. And I'll especially speak to one aspect of diversity here coming up. But first, don't get me wrong. I'm not against Fiverr or Upwork. I'm on Fiverr, and I've made a lot of money on Fiverr over the years. Upwork, I'm still trying to break in and get my first job. You've had some Upwork work, and you're trying to help me out with that. Voices.com is a pay-to-play, Voice123, Voice Realm. I've been on all of those, and I don't begrudge anybody that wants to. I'm for them, and I'm on them. So don't take this wrongly. I'm much more comfortable, though, with, you guessed it, direct email marketing. And I am because, and that's, by the way, the majority of my income stream is through direct email marketing. Why? There's 3 reasons. First, I work directly with my clients. It's person to person. I don't have to go through anybody. I like that a lot. I like the personal touch. I like them to be able to call me. I like them to email me. I think that serves me best. I think I'm kind of a people person, and I've learned to be client-centric, and so I'm good to go. And I know you are too. And so that's good for you. Some people like the pay-to-plays. They like the other platforms because they don't have that so much personal interaction. Second, I'm not subject to a fickle algorithm or fees or any funny business, I'll call it. Some of the platforms, I have to be honest with you, I just don't get. I don't understand. It almost seems like each one is trying to be somewhat unique and different so that they can stand out, and so that they can it almost feels like they're tricking you. I'm probably wrong about that, just because I'm a little bit older and I don't understand some things. Do you ever get that?
That or their business model isn't a very good one, and I'm going to attack Fiverr because why not?
You're easy to hop on.
Yeah, I'll hop on that train. But it just seems like with Fiverr especially, it's very, very, very client-centric. So it's not, it's buyer-centric. It's not seller-centric. So us sellers, we a lot of the time get the raw end of the deal, whether it's a poor rating, whether that's warranted or not, or all of a sudden just a random, someone starts an order and they don't check any of your stipulations. Gig requirements. Wow. They then, will cancel it. And it's like, that hurts and it really hurts, especially someone like me who's fairly new. I've done over, I think I saw it's about 115 orders I've had on Fiverr, but there's just a big difference when when you have something like that not hit right. So it seems like for some reason it's very client centric, and it's like a no questions asked. It's the buyer is always right, which in some cases is good. But in this case, it seems like with Fiverr, they have some shady characters who will will set up an order for less than what you normally, whatever you call it, whatever you quote. And then they'll say, "Oh, you sound like a robot." And it's like, well, no, I've had plenty of jobs on Fiverr where people and other places where it's not that way. And then they cancel it and they don't have to pay, but they get your voice still because you sent them the product. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and it seems like and I'm not saying this is necessarily Fiverr's fault, maybe, but it almost seems like with Fiverr and some of these, people are always finding out new things about how they're evaluating you and stuff like that. And it's like, why can't you just come out and talk to us about that and tell us, why does it have to be secret? And so just protecting the seller just a little bit more. I know they do all of the marketing for you. They're your bank, if you will. They go get the money and stand behind that.
They also go and get your tip when you get a tip.
Yeah,
I don't like that either.
Yeah, true.
Take 20% of $5.
That's never made sense to me either.
Thanks.
So the 3 things, again, I work directly with my clients. I like that. I'm not subject to fickle algorithm fees or funny business on platforms. And third, which is probably the most important, is that there's diversity within diversity. And I've talked about that before. If you're on Fiverr and that's kind of your only thing, then if something happens with your algorithm or your gig, or they change something, or they go out of business, then you're up a creek. I mean, you're in tough shape. But with direct email marketing, I might have, I don't know, 50 regular clients. If one of them is slow or has a health issue or
goes out of business,
or passes away, we wouldn't want that to happen, but nevertheless, those things do happen. Well, then I'm not completely shut down. I have 49 others that work with me. And it might be a big client, and that could hurt a little bit, but it's not going to kind of kill my business.
But you don't ride the wave if things continue to go downhill economy, whatever's going on, if those things keep going down, everybody's going to be in trouble in one sense.
Yeah.
But with Fiverr, it seems like they've maybe oversold themselves. And so people did really, really well. And so they're like, oh, I'm so busy on Fiverr, I can't do anything else. Well, now it's, I haven't noticed that because I've never gone really great guns on it, but it seems like they've oversold themselves, and now people are hurting. They're like, what's going on with Fiverr? How do I fix this? Well, you're stuck to one platform, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear some VO coaches extolling the virtues of platforms while disparaging, downplaying, kind of disregarding direct email marketing. Some will talk about it, but it's just like wrong, or it's wrong ideas, or it's just like, direct email marketing is definitely something you need to do. And then they never talk about it. They talk about platforms and driving things, people to your websites and doing all sorts of filling out of LinkedIn. And those are all fine. Don't get me wrong. But they just kind of give a cursory view of direct email marketing.
Well, and we haven't met, and maybe there is somebody out there, we haven't met anybody that's been as faithful to direct email marketing as you. Correct? Would I be correct in saying that?
Yeah, and I
don't know everybody. That they disparage it,
but out of the tens and maybe even hundreds of voiceover talent, we just haven't found anybody that does it as regularly and has sold out. And again, like I've said so many times, it wasn't like I was just this brilliant genius.
Yeah.
I heard Bill DeWees talk about direct email marketing, and so I just thought, that's what you do. That's what you have to just go after that. So I just did, and I didn't do anything else for a long time.
But nobody else, they disparage it, yet it's like you can't knock it till you've tried it. And trying it isn't this, I'm going to try it for a month, or I'm going to try it for even 6 months.
Yeah.
It's got to be a year and a half, 2 years, because I'm seeing, I had some success right away, but I'm seeing emails. I just got an email before the podcast that was from I got a new email from Outlook, my own voiceover email. I was using my personal email at this time. And I got an email. They said, thanks for reaching out to us. It's been 8 months. So it's like they just got the email. Anyway, it just
happens all the time.
Those things just pop, and it's like, that's a shot in the arm because you forget about it.
Yeah.
You think they're not going to get a hold of me. But
those
then all of a
emails
sudden
are out
they
there.
do.
Yeah, and that let's remember to talk about that in the
Johnny.
numbers with Johnny when he gets here in a few minutes, because I think that's important along with the email that I got. I wanted to talk about.
Oh, sorry.
That. No. I'm glad you brought it up. So, but anyway, I hear certain ones mention direct email marketing as an option, but then they go on and on and on and on and on and on about how wonderful platforms are and how they almost kind of just set it and forget it on these platforms, which isn't true. You have to really do a good job and figure out the platform and fill out everything, and then you got to go back and keep maintaining that. And so that's just simply not true. So those are the reasons that I don't want, if you think of my income stream as a pie graph, I don't want it to be like 80 or 90% platforms. Some people have that, and I don't like that. I don't think that's wise. And so I want to get more direct email marketing, because if my direct email marketing is 80% or 75%, within that 75%, there's 3% from this client, 2% from this client, 5% from this client, 15% from this client. And so there's diversity within diversity. So that's another one of my do's and don'ts.
I don't mind it if people don't use direct email marketing.
Yeah, we've said that before.
It's like,
we'll just do it for you.
Yeah, I'll do it myself and reap the benefits.
Yeah.
So anyway. Well, should we get to our numbers?
Yeah.
Johnny, lead us off, dog.
Okay, so we had 28 warm responses this week, 6 auditions. A couple of those came in just before we started this podcast, so that's exciting. And then Noelle Romano got a job this week. So
she's back on the board, back on the leaderboard. We
her.
missed Noelle for a few weeks, which was unusual. There was a while there she was really going at it.
Putting them up and setting them down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it'd be good. I mentioned this on our Facebook when I booked a job just yesterday with a new client. And when I give my numbers, I just like to talk a little bit about that, because I commented when when you guys posted that I got the job. And so I wanted to talk about that. But you talked earlier during Todd's tips about an email that you received. Tell us about that.
Was that your numbers already?
Yes.
Wow, I kind of blanked out there. Sorry about that. I just was expecting more.
That'll happen.
Yep.
That'll happen.
Anyway,
you need me to talk more?
just talking more. I'm
Yeah.
used to you
I
talking
mean, I have
more.
something to add at the end kind of thing, but it's not.
So when you,
John will,
I heard
I'm
the
just
Noelle
tall,
Romano and
chatty
stuff
Cathy.
like that, of course.
John will have his VOMP words of wisdom in just a few moments.
Sure. Exactly.
So what happened was I had mentioned that I switched emails. I was using my personal email to send out emails direct. And so this reply came to my personal email, which I was done with in, I think, February.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was the first reply to it. And it was, hey, thanks for contacting us. Well, it's August, which is fine. But it was almost like I had sent it out, 7 months ago, and they were just getting back to me right away. So I sent it out on January 12th of this year, 2022, and I got it back today, and they want me to do a sample for them. So that's
Nice.
exciting. That's kind of an audition, I guess. Kind of. I didn't write it down as an audition, but
The point being,
it was more of a warm response with a sample. So
the point being is like you always say, John, and of course we know by virtue of me doing it for a long time, that you send out these emails and sometimes you get a nice warm response, and that makes you feel good. Sometimes you get an audition, makes you feel even better. Sometimes you get a job, that makes you feel really good. But those emails are out there yet, and all of a sudden, boom, they just like a wrapped present come into your inbox and said, hey, we kept you in mind, here's a job. And they didn't even tell you, or in this case, this person is almost acting like you just sent it yesterday or this week, like this is brand new. But it's 8 months old.
yeah.
So that
I thought
happens
that was
quite
funny.
a bit. There's kind of gold out there that that lays out there and is ready to be mined, and you've already kind of mined it.
Yep. Yeah, I've said this before too, that what we're seeing is, over time, some of these people have been like Noelle. She's been with us for over a year, and Bill DeWees got some auditions this week, and then some of these people that are even paying less, far less than they're starting out at like 25 emails or 50 or even 100. We're seeing just at least activity, not only warm responses but auditions, and so it can work for any. We've said that before, but to your point about like Hudson's point about it being, 8 months after he sent out his email to this company that he's getting a response. That's just why you stick with it. We have one reported job this week. We don't always know how many are out there, as we say most of the time, but yeah, just stick with it, and activity will start. And we did have another person that did an audition and then got response back saying that they didn't win it, but they definitely want to keep that person in mind. That doesn't sound like gold because it's disappointing in the moment, but most of the time, if people do say it, they have you on, at least an eye on you to come back when they do have one. Maybe they're a smaller business that they don't have a ton, but they will come back. So that's hopeful too for people. So.
Well, and just because you don't get a response, this just shows that
correct.
Just because you don't even get anything, I have the tendency to think, oh, well, I didn't get response from those, or you forget about that there's other emails out there.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I didn't even, 8 months later, it's a possible job. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, they didn't say anything for 8 months.
Right,
and
right.
all of a sudden that's a job. You just have to remember that that can happen to you easily.
Well, and 8 months can feel like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a long time, especially with the world that we're in with immediate satisfaction. And even the platforms, which are great, great to diversify, but they can sometimes, you can get a response from somebody or get a quick thing on Fiverr, like a job, and it's like, oh, good, I'm getting something. But this is definitely, we say it so much, but a long haul. It's not going to be immediate. And 8 months is just not that much time when it comes to email marketing. And that sounds, people that are listening are going to be like, I don't know if I believe that. And some of them we won't be able to convince that's the case.
That's
but you're
fine.
proof. Hudson's becoming proof. There's other people in our group, like I stated earlier, that are becoming proof, that just sticking with it and just not setting and forgetting it. I mean, you need to think about what your business and what's best for your business. And maybe we aren't the best thing for your business, but we believe that direct email marketing works. And so 8 months, 9 months, a year is not that much time. So stick with it.
And I had said earlier before this with Todd's tips that people can say, oh, I don't believe it, or I'll try it for a month, or I'll try it for 6 months. They can do that, but there's nobody has really, or they can say to dad that, well, I don't really believe that it works. Well, you also haven't put 13 full years of experience into it and really majored on it. We don't really know of anybody else who has been as faithful as dad with it. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody to say, I said to dad, if they want to say that and they want to give up that easily, do it by all means. That just means more work for us because we believe in it, And so that's whatever, So anyway.
Yeah. You mentioned auditions, and people need to understand that even if you don't win auditions, that's a very important thing, because a lot of times if you do a good job on those auditions, you might not be just the right voice for that particular project. But if they like working with you, you got it back quickly, you did a nice job, they like your audio, they like your voice, they've got you in their mind now. And so those auditions, don't ever think that those aren't valuable. Here's just one thing, and honestly, I'm starting my 13th year, this has never happened, and I'll give that caveat right away because it's never happened. But it did happen just before I came on the podcast, and it's this. Not that I've never been paid for an audition. I have been paid for auditions. They've said, hey, for the trouble you went through, and that's rare. It's just rare. I don't know. It may be 20 times that I've been paid for an audition. It might be $50 or $100. A guy just contacted me, and he's used me before, and I went through 2 rounds of auditions, but it took me 15, 20 minutes. He said, for your hassle, $350.
Wow.
They're going to pay me today for the audition. Now, I would have liked to have the job because it was more like $9,000 or $1,000, but I didn't get that. But I did a good job in the audition, and they like me, and so that's unusual. But auditions count, so make sure that you not only are encouraged by those, but you do a good job so
Yes.
that
They remember you.
Yep.
Yeah, and even get back when they say, that you didn't win it. I
Yep.
would suggest. I didn't think you would too. It's
Yes.
just, but act like it's not that big of a deal. Because if you act like it's a big deal or you're
heartbroken,
please,
right.
then you sound desperate.
Yeah,
so if you can,
exactly.
you can say, well, this isn't a big deal to me.
Yeah.
Even if it might be.
Yeah.
Because I remember that when you first started, as I remember you doing auditions, and I remember having access to your work email, and I'd be at my job and hoping you got a job, and you kind of think I'd come back home and say, it just isn't working, or I'd come back and you get like a $500 job and we'd be fist pumping like we are now with
For other
VO
people,
Marketing Pro for everybody
That's kind of
else.
how I am. Is
Yeah.
if I
And
get a job, I'm real happy.
And so I remember those times, and you just stick with it, and you have to act like you've been there, like when it comes to auditions, when it comes to those things, and just
Be a
believe
gracious
that
loser if you have to be. Yep.
Yep.
Right. Exactly. Good point.
Yeah. So to finish up my numbers, no,
Hudson's.
that's not a problem. 4 warm responses this week. And then I made $560 on Fiverr. I made $92 on Upwork. Got a job this week. That
Good
was
for
fun.
you.
I always like when I get jobs on Upwork. I like it more than Fiverr. Sorry, Fiverr. And then I got that inquiry. So I don't know. We'll see what that is. So that could possibly be a new client. I'll let you guys know next week. Did some editing for you, which was nice. And I made a total of $712 this week.
We're kind of shooting. I know you'd like to make more than that, but in my mind, I'm kind of hoping that Hudson will make $100 a day, because that's not bad. I know it's not big money, but you just try to say, let's try to make $100 a day by hook or by crook, and then up it to $750, and then $1,000, and pretty soon you're making enough money to support yourself and beyond that. Did you have something else before I?
I'll just say it at the end.
Okay.
It's not that big of a deal.
So quickly, I had a new client, and the subject line was this. They wrote a different subject line. Sometimes they'll just reply, timing is everything. And she said, well, we received another email from you today. And I was thinking, oh, they're not very happy with me. She said, well, timing is everything. They're PSA producers, public service announcement producers with good budgets. And their regular male voiceover talent was unavailable. He was on his honeymoon. And so I did a sample. They loved it. And we booked a session, and it was $950. And then because it's on Westwood One, it's going to be a national commercial, Westwood One. For one small tag, they're going to pay me $250 more. So it's a $1,200 gig.
Wow.
And I report that, again, it's not at all to brag. It's just to show that this works. It's to show the possibilities. But just understand, I've been at this for over a decade. So that's important for people to realize. I try to encourage people with that. I know you could hear that and you go, I didn't even make $1,200 this week. I get that. I've been there. But you just have to keep plugging away.
Guilty.
Yep. And so this week, another new client, and I have a total of 30, not clients that keep using me, but 30 brand new clients this year.
Wow.
We're almost to the end of August. And that's down just a
Filling
bit.
in the holes.
Now, so if you have a quiet space, a pro studio, you're client-centric, and you are a pro talent, that is, you are regularly making money, you can do direct email marketing. You just have to have a lot of emails, and you've got to stay in there. That's my point. So my platform's only $1,300. $1,300. My direct email marketing, $5,751.40. My total, $7,051.40. $7,051.40 this week.
If that isn't a commercial for direct email marketing, I don't know what is.
What do we have for time?
5,000. Go ahead. Plenty.
Okay.
Yeah. Wax eloquently.
This is just off. It's really nothing about, I think I waxed eloquently before about
Do it again.
those. Well, this is just a thing that for people that are listening, like a Mike Praviti. Said that right?
Yeah,
Mike
very good.
Praviti.
And anybody else that watches from our group. I'm still working a little bit for a company that I worked for previously, full time. And I just remember this time of year, kids are about ready to go back to school. So there's quite a few people on PTO and quite a few people on vacation right now. So 2 things, just know that there's probably going to be, we just know that there might be even a little bit slower time these next couple weeks with people on vacations, probably people in video production companies doing the same thing that people are doing. I mean, they're in the corporate world, but in insurance like I am, or other types of industry. And then, so there might be a slowing on that with emails. But also, if you can just let us know if you're going to be on vacation.
Good
just
point,
let Joe know, email us. It's not that big of a deal. Or let us know that if you have a mobile, I said that in a really Wisconsin accent there.
Mobile.
A mobile
There you go.
setup so that you can work while you're on vacation. But
Right.
just let us know, because then we've had not just this, in the past, we've had some people contact us, and it just so happens that they got an audition or a job or something like that. And they're like, hey, I can't because I'm out on this on vacation. And so it's not a big deal. We'll still send out, make sure you get yours for the whole month, but we might just be more careful because we don't want to quote unquote waste your emails. And we also don't want to get you in a bind where all of a sudden we send you something, an audition, and you can't do it.
Correct.
And so it's just important that we communicate that. I'm going to send that out in the Friday update as well. But for those that are listening and whatever, or just want to put that out there, those 2 aspects of I just remember this being a busy time this time of year with vacations and stuff. And so just let us know.
Yeah, because when you go on vacation and you don't tell anybody, you're probably going to get an audition.
That's Murphy's Law.
Probably going to get an audition, which that's why you let us know. So
Your
you
worst
get
nightmare.
your audition and then you can do it
Yeah.
and still get the job.
Yeah,
Yep,
exactly.
Good point.
So that's it.
Thanks,
for me.
Johnny.
Yep.
Next up, we are going to have Roy Owens on our
Nice.
interview with him. So join us for that next. Welcome back to the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast. A couple weeks ago, we had the opportunity to interview Roy Owens. Roy is part of VOMP, Video Marketing Pro. He's also a professional voiceover artist, and he's also a full-time police officer, we found. So we will get into that interview right here.
Yeah, there he is.
Hello. Hi, Roy.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing well.
Good. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. And are you in a booth there? Do you have like a whisper room or a sound blocks booth or something?
I have a booth that I built myself in my basement.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Where are you located?
just outside of Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. You have just a slight, wonderful Southern
Yes.
accent.
Oh,
like
do I
that.
really?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Of course, hey, listen, here's the thing. When I was on a summer tour for a singing tour for a college, I remember being down in your neck of the woods, and I said to a young gal, I said, you have an interesting accent. And she said, and I won't get the accent right, but she said something like, well, no, you're the one with the accent. And so I was a northerner coming down, but it's very slight. And I've listened to your demos, and it comes through sometimes when it should and doesn't other times. So you do a nice
Control
job
it
with
well.
that. Yeah.
You know, I have been told I did a job for a Canadian company,
Mm.
and they said, can you relax the Southern accent a little bit?
Mm.
And I thought I was, but
Yeah.
sometimes I don't even hear it.
Yeah, and I have to just watch that a little bit. Being from Wisconsin, we kind of have a Yooper type, sometimes we, what are some other ones?
Don't
Hudson?
you know?
Don't you know, yeah. So we're
Kind of almost a little bit like Canada has, a little bit less.
Yeah.
It's more midwesterny.
yeah.
So
We don't
I
say
know how to explain it.
about and out and about and stuff like that, but
Right.
we do. We do have a little bit of regional stuff going on there. So you're
Yeah.
a full-time police officer,
I am, yes,
and how long you been doing that?
for about 11 years.
Really? And
Yeah.
is that in a specific city? You aren't like a state trooper, are you? You're more of a village or city police officer?
I'm a city police officer. It's a suburb of Kansas City. So yeah, I've done it about 11 years and spent the first probably 20 years of my career in technology. And that's really where I got my start in voiceover by accident, really. Yeah.
Well, so you went from being in technology. That seems like a stretch to be a police officer, and then there's another stretch to be a voiceover talent. You've got these, you got all these varying things. You're a multi-talented guy. So tell us a little bit. How did you go from being technology? Did you have to go to a police academy and such?
I did. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had always been interested in law enforcement, and back in my 20s, almost went down that path, and then had a business opportunity. And I chose that path, and then ended up getting into technology, just before the .com bubble and all that kind of stuff. And the way that led to voiceover was that early stage technology companies, you're trying to save every dime you can. And so I would narrate the software explainer videos. I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, we're talking a USB microphone from Office Max. And I thought that you had to do it all in one take. So as I was going through the software, I was narrating what it was without a script, just on the fly. And then I get 80% of the way through it and mess something up and have to start over.
Oh,
so it would take me 2 or 3 days to do this, but I had no idea what I was doing. So, and then after I did a few of those, a few of our customers said, "Hey, who did your voice for that explainer?" And I said, "Well, I did." And they said, "Well, that was awesome." And I'm like, "Really?" Because, no one really likes the sound of their own voice, right?
Yeah.
You hear it and you're like, "Oh, that's horrible."
Yeah. Yeah.
And really kind of thought nothing of it. And I kept doing it. And then I guess it was before the pandemic. I said, "You know what?" I was watching a YouTube video one night and saw a video from Bill DeWees. And I thought, I wonder if anybody would hire me doing this kind of thing. And so I gave him a call. We talked, got some training, put a demo together, and surprised me, people started hiring me. And then it just kind of took off from there, right? I started getting jobs, did an audio book, and the story after that. So,
yeah. Well, that's very interesting. And so I want to talk a little bit about your background, your family and such like that. But is voiceover not only a side gig, but is it also a little bit of a retirement plan? Is that what you're kind of thinking? Like as you start to slow up the police officer stuff, as you get a little bit older,
right.
Will you move more into full-time, or at least have that as a part-time retirement gig? Is that what
I will?
thinking?
Yeah. I really treat it as a full-time job. So, I try and be as active as I possibly can, from direct marketing to auditioning to the way I think about voiceover is that I treat it like I would in my technology business, meaning follow up, getting things in on time, doing things properly, putting out a quality product is really how I think about it. And so for me, as long as I have a voice, I plan to keep doing it because I love doing it. So for me, it's not work. It's just something I love to do. I do some character work. I do some Southern accent type work, some, e-learning narration in your traditional non-accent voice, and then the audiobook work. And I just love all of it. So I plan to continue doing it for as long as people will hire me, and probably even when they won't hire me, I'll keep doing it. So because I like being in the booth, and I love the process, the creation process.
Yeah, it sounds like the old radio guy that would say that, even if I just go to the production studio and think that I'm on the air, as nobody will listen to me, I'll still go in there because I really like radio. So even if people aren't hiring you, you'll go down and read scripts and things like that. That's funny. Yeah. So you've been married 25 years and you have 2 children, and I was very interested. Your son, Chandler, is that
Yes,
right?
that's right.
He's in a draft for professional rugby.
That's right.
I tell
Yeah.
you, that is a man's sport. And I don't mean that in any kind of way other than that. I mean, you talk about, I played football, but take all the pads off and your helmet and then play football. That's what you're doing. And it's like, I
wouldn't want to meet
fathom
him in a dark alley.
No, or any
I
of
wouldn't
those
either.
guys. Or any of those guys. So how big is Chandler? Is he one of those bruisers? Is he a big boy?
You know,
Big guy?
he plays a position that's a bit more speed and skill based.
Okay.
So good sized kid. He's 6'1", 205 pounds. Big enough to make it hurt when he runs into you.
Mm-hmm.
But he's what they call a fly half, which is kind of like the quarterback in rugby.
Okay.
And so he's very quick, very aggressive. And it's been fascinating. He started when he was, I think, in 7th or 8th grade and just excelled at it. And came out of high school, was ranked the number 5th player in the country in his position. Ended up making the U.S. national junior team and did a tour through Canada. Went on to college and they at KU, Kansas University. And they played for the national championship this past year. And that was the only game they lost in 3 years.
Wow.
So, and that you kind of got attention from some pro teams and then was invited to the pro draft and has been this summer going around to different pro combines, if you will. And he's excited about it. It's been a fun process for him.
Rugby must be quite a bit bigger down south. Maybe it's decent around here, but I don't hear about many teams based around the Madison area of Wisconsin that do rugby. So that's quite interesting. I didn't know if he had gotten a start with football and then, somebody's like, hey, you'd be really good at rugby. Why don't you try that out? But it sounds like he'd been doing it since, like you said, 7th grade. So that's fascinating.
Yeah. It's a growing sport. It's probably like what soccer was 20 years ago. So there's 14 professional teams in the U.S., certainly more professional teams in Europe. If you're up late at night, you can find professional European rugby on TV, but certainly growing here in the U.S. It's a college sport with a number of large colleges now, and it's been great to watch him.
This is probably too old for you even, Roy, but I remember when ESPN first came on the cable channel in the early 80s. And I remember they were just trying to fill time 24 hours a day. And they had Australian rules football, which I know is different than rugby, but it kind of, in a guy that doesn't know that, it kind of looks the same in some ways. There's some similarities, at least that I saw.
Yes.
And I would watch that and would be fascinated by that sport. But they were just trying to fill time with that. And it was all in Australia, New Zealand. And I equate that with Europe and Australia. I don't equate it with the United States. And so that's a little bit news to me. Is he going to be actually drafted by somebody in the States, or is he going to have to go overseas?
He'll be drafted by somebody here in the States.
That's nice.
And usually players that want to continue that, they'll play for 2 or 3 years here in the States, and then they'll go to Europe and play from there. Yeah.
Okay. So is that kind of where it's happening? Like, for instance, with the NBA, people want to get into the NBA, National Basketball Association, but sometimes they either can't make it or so they go to overseas and play professionally there, still where they can make a lot of money, but maybe it's not quite as high profile and as much money as the NBA. Is that how it is in the reverse then?
That's exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very good example. That's exactly how it works in rugby.
Okay. So he'll have to cut his teeth maybe and prove his wares here, maybe in the United States. And if he keeps improving and such, maybe he makes it over there, where the money is. And yeah. Interesting. Wow. And so you're an outdoorsman as well, it sounds like. You like the fishing. Well, you're right up, Hudson's alley. I think camping is like a dirty motel. I mean, that's or going outside and having a campfire and then coming home to my bed. But Hudson likes fishing and he likes camp. In fact, Hudson's going camping tomorrow night, right? Hudson going out camping and fishing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What's your fish of choice to fish for?
Bass mainly.
Okay.
Yeah, being here in Kansas, we live on a lake. It's not a big lake. It's probably about 300 acres. But I've got a little bass boat. My daughter loves to fish, so we get out there quite a bit and fish for bass. But yeah, I love being outside. We've done some awesome family hiking trips in Colorado, where you go out for 4 or 5 days with backpacks and you pack in with all your food and your tent and hike in the mountains. And it's just awesome to be out there. No cell service, phones are turned off. You're just 5 days away from everything, and it's perfect.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
My wife grew up with a fishing father and grandfather and really enjoyed that. And she and Hudson did you just go out? Was it yesterday or Saturday? You guys went out.
Saturday, yeah.
She loves to fish. And so I was never, I like everything about fishing except for going out and wading, baiting my hook, getting the fish off the line, skinning them, gutting them, and eating them. I like that challenge of when you get you hook something and the 2 or 3 minutes of fighting, to get the fish in. But other than that, I'm not a big fisherman, but she likes it. And Hudson does that. And they have some great time. So that must be fun for you to go with your daughter and such.
Oh yeah. If you look at my Facebook, my posts are basically either rugby or the last fish my daughter caught. So yeah.
Is she a bass fisherman too? Because her dad is. I mean, that's what
she is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Hudson, you maybe have to ask other fishing things because that's the end of my knowledge, basically.
Yeah. Do you? Because I fish for anything, but mostly bass. I'm largemouth bass, smallmouth bass. Do you guys do tournaments and stuff like that, or are you just kind of a leisure fisherman? Just do it for the fun.
I'm a complete amateur, just for fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've got a little fishing club here locally on our lake, and I think I've done a couple of their events, but I'm a complete amateur. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I just like being out on the water and fishing, and just very relaxing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll stop with those questions because I could ask you all sorts of questions about fishing, but nobody wants to hear about that here probably.
So you camp and hike and fish. Are you a hunter too? Do you do any hunting? Okay.
Yeah, bird hunting, and grew up doing that and really enjoy it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about so how do you balance? I know you really enjoy the police work and you enjoy the voiceover. Are you working how does it work with you as far as schedule wise? Because there are people that watch our podcast and that are part of VO Marketing Pro that are doing it part-time. And that's always a juggling, and then you got family and you got other things like that. So do you work 40 hours a week, or is it more you work, the 12-hour shift and then you have 2 days off and then you work how does it work with your police officering and voiceover?
It varies. Our schedule varies. So usually I work evenings. So in the police department.
Okay.
And, most of the time we work a 10-hour shift. So you have 3 days off a week. But the evening shift allows me to work through the day with voiceover, when people are business hours. And then I do my police work at night in the evenings. And it works out quite well. And then having, 3 days off a week gives me time to either catch up on voiceover work or family stuff or whatever it might be. So it's really the best of both worlds. And I'm the personality type that I don't sit and just watch TV, right? I've always got to be doing something. So for me, it works out great because it gives me something to keep my mind busy. And I don't really have any idle time. But as long as you're doing something you love, that's works for me.
It seems like such a different, two things that I would think it would almost be like, I'm not trying to say for a fisherman, it would be like fishing, but for somebody that might be in a little bit more of a stressing type job, it would almost be a hobby. Not that you're doing it to not make money. Do you understand my thought pattern there? That getting in the booth, being by yourself,
kind of your release. Scripts. Is that what you're kind of trying to say? Your
creative release, your ability to just relax a little bit and do something you really enjoy. Is that a part of it, or?
It is. Yeah. In law enforcement business it is a stressful job. And so being able to leave that at work and come home and do something that's completely different I think is a healthy pursuit. It allows me to just get away from all of that, whatever the stresses might be, and get lost in whatever script I'm doing, job I'm doing, audition I'm doing, whatever it might be. So for me, it is somewhat of just a getaway.
Yeah.
Because I can get here in the booth. We live our home is almost 100 years old. And so, when I started in voiceover, I did your typical, I had moving blankets stapled to the ceiling of my basement. There you go. Yours is much fancier than mine was. I didn't have any supports. I just stapled them up there and they would fall down, a couple times a day, and I'd staple them back up. And then it got really hot in there. Right. So in the summer you were sweating in there. In the winter, you'd freeze to death. And then after, maybe 6 to 8 months, and people started actually paying me to do this, I ended up doing a lot of research online and going to Home Depot and building what I'm setting in today. But it's great because I can shut the door. There's no sound. I can get away from everything and just concentrate on what I'm doing.
You put in the little sheet that we ask people to fill out when, so that we have some of their background and some things like that. You mentioned that you started voiceover in 2004, but you started to get serious in 2020. Why was that? You told a little bit about it, about the technology and then police officers, and then you did some narration back in the day, but was there something else that happened that you said, I want to get serious about this now, finally?
Well, even in my law enforcement work, I would have people say, man, you sound great on the radio. Did you ever work in radio? Did you, do this kind of stuff? And I never really noticed it. Like I said, I don't know really anybody that likes to hear their own voice. Mm-hmm. But I guess from the video, the software explainer stuff that I did, and hearing it several times, hey, your voice sounds great on the radio. I thought maybe there's something there. And, at the start of the pandemic, we were all forced into our homes, right? So I was going a little stir crazy, kind of looking for something else to do. And like I said, I stumbled across Bill DeWees's YouTube video. And Bill's such a great guy. I mean, he was so kind to work with me. And I have since, I work with a couple other coaches, but it just seemed like something that I wanted to try. Mm-hmm. And I was as shocked as anybody when the first client said, yes, we've hired you. So,
yep, boom, you're a professional voiceover talent now. And then when they keep coming back, well, your voice is soothing. It's baritone, and it's got a smooth texture to it. So I understand why they would say that. And that's a great, that's a great thing. I was wondering, in the last 10 or 15 minutes that we have here with you, are you, where are you finding, you mentioned that you're on Fiverr, yes. You're doing some direct email marketing, voices.com. I have a couple of questions, but the first one is where are you finding, your most success right now? And I'd like to hear what your successes are, just, if you don't mind sharing kind of what you're making, or at least, kind of where your successes are and stuff like that.
Yeah. Most of what I'm doing now, it seems like, has been in that Southern blue collar, husky guy kind of voice. Mm-hmm. I did a spot over the holidays for Ford for their new F-150 that ran in the Chicagoland market. And they wanted that the actor that was featured driving the truck kind of looked like a steel worker, mm-hmm. burly guy, white beard. And so that voice seems to get a lot of attention. I do some work where people want somebody sounding like Sam Elliott.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And kind of that Texas mm-hmm. Southern, kind of a thing. And I also do some work for, when you think about Southern voices, there's really a few different dialects, right? So you've got the Sam Elliott, Texas, slow kind of a thing going on. But then you also have the Southern gentleman, more of the War of 1965 kind of a voice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I do a couple of different dialects there. And then I've done some work kind of with a Spanish dialect, believe it or not. Now, my Spanish is very limited, but the Spanish accent, which is more of a take on, I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Princess Bride.
Oh, yeah. Inigo Montoya.
Inigo Montoya.
Yes.
So that voice, I've done a few characters in that voice. And I think that came out of, as a kid, watching cartoons. I was an only child for the first 12 years of my life. And so I would just constantly, do the voices of Foghorn Leghorn and, all the other cartoons I used to watch, and really love that kind of stuff. And it seems like it's kind of split between Fiverr and Voices and Direct. Now, most of my direct work has been in the e-learning space. So I've done some medical narration for global companies. I'm under NDA, so I can't tell you who it is, but quite a bit of work in that space, which is interesting because you do a take for Sam Elliott and then you're reading medical narration. So I have to be a little bit careful in how I turn that accent off and then go into a professional medical narration after that. But it seems to be, from a revenue perspective, kind of split between all three of those. From a Voices, and Voices is really the only pay to play type platform that I've been using. I've tried a little bit on Voices or Voice 123, and done some work there, but it seems like voices.com has been a better fit for me. And then, of course, Fiverr, which I wasn't really excited about at first. But the more I started paying attention to it and the more I got into it, I learned that it's really become a very real platform for voiceover. And, excuse me, sorry.
No worries.
Should have turned that off. That side of it's growing as well.
Where are you at as far as your level on Fiverr?
I'm a level 2 at this point.
You are.
Yeah.
What are you, Hudson? Are you level 1?
2.
You're level 2 as well. Okay.
Yep.
And like, if you don't want to tell me, it is absolutely fine. But like, what would you be making in a month typically? What would like your average be? This is part-time that you're. So what would you be making a month?
It ranges. I would say averaging somewhere, I don't know, $2,000 to $3,000 a month, probably.
Well, good for you.
So now some months are better than others. Some months are horrible financially.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about this business that you certainly understand, because I've followed you for some time, and we've talked before in terms of growing this as a business, because even though I love doing it, it is still a business. There are expenses that you have, the booth, the microphone, all the things that we do to try and make this a business, and getting used to the rejection, right? So I don't know about you all, but I don't get most of the auditions that I send in, right?
Right.
Same
And
here.
so, I think at first it was a little frustrating the first few months, because I would do an audition. I would think, I nailed that. There's no way that they're not going to hire me. That was the best that anyone that could have hired, listen, anyone on the planet, I did that better than anybody.
Yep.
They don't hire you. So, and you kind of have to put yourself in their mindset of they're looking for a very specific voice for a very specific reason at a very specific point in time. And if yours isn't it, yours isn't it. So, now I've gotten to the point that I do the audition, I do the best that I possibly can. If they decide I'm the one, that's awesome. If not, I keep going. Yeah.
I don't know of too many other industries where take, for instance, policing. If you went to, if you had to do 50 interviews, to try to get one job, you'd probably say, I don't think I'm fit for this, but that's the way it is. You audition, you direct email, you send out proposals, you do all these different things. And like my win rate is high on voices.com and it's 20-1. Well, it used to be 50-1. So I had to do 50 auditions for one job. And so it's just, you've got to get used to that, and you got to get thick skin, and you got to realize that it's like music, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and they're looking for a voice, and they say, that's the voice I'm looking for. And it might be yours, might not be. And here's the crazy thing. Sometimes you say, I nailed that. I got that job. Excuse me. And then you hear the person that they hired and you say, no way. How could you have hired that person? I was the exact person for that job. The person was terrible. I'm just saying, you have those thoughts, but that's just the way it is. That's the industry, and that's what you're dealing with. But 2,000 to 3,000 average doing it part-time, that should, I would think, Roy, that would give you encouragement to say that as you maybe slow down in police work, do it part-time, or you have what it takes easily. I would think you'd be saying to yourself, I can do this. I mean, I can make a good full-time living if I wanted to do it full-time once I'm retired. Is that what you think or not?
I think so. In this business, you're not on a base salary, right? There are no guarantees. But I think that in my mind, over the past few years, I've proven that I'm hireable. I can produce something that fits for a certain segment of the market. And as long as that continues, I'm going to keep doing it. Like I said, I didn't have any specific targets, going into this, or expectations. You mentioned your 50-1, then 20-1 on voices.com. I did 263 auditions before I got my first one. Now, I probably got onto that platform earlier than I should have. So, like any business, the more you do, the better you get at it. I've gone back and listened to some of my very first auditions and thought to myself, I shouldn't have done that, right? They were just horrific.
Yeah.
Not that I'm great now, but you listen to some of your early work and even some of the work that I was hired for, and I just kind of cringe a little bit. You're like, oh my goodness, that was probably not great.
Yeah. And I thought that was a good idea. I thought that sounded good. I thought that sounded really great.
I did that on purpose.
Yes.
Right. And maybe in 5 years, I listen to something that I'm doing now and I think, oh my goodness, I can't believe I did that in public.
Yeah.
But you continue to grow. Now my hit rate on voices.com is better now. But I was pretty discouraged there for a while, doing that 263rd audition. And it's like, are my notifications turned off? Is something not working?
Yeah.
Is my email not working? But you get better at it.
Bill calls it, swimming in the deep end. Voices.com, Voice 123, pay to plays, agency work, even direct email marketing. You just have to. I mean, honestly, Roy, back 10 years ago when I started, I sent out email. I didn't know any better, so I'm just sending out emails, and I'm working with people, and I will contact them again now 10 years later when I'm much better. They won't hire me. They just won't, because they have something in their mind. And it's not very many, but it's just something. And it's just a note, to the wise to not be discouraged, because you've got to go through the process. But like you said, just evaluating, where am I at in my career, and where should I be, doing my focus as far as making money and things like that as I continue to develop my skills. But having a Ford commercial in a Chicagoland area and being hired, and making $2,000 to $3,000 part-time, all is just pointing in the direction of, I can make money doing this. And if I even extend my, my efforts, I'm going to be able to make more money and be hired more and get my skill sets even farther and stuff like that. So I have great hope for you. I'm glad for you. And I don't have a lot more to ask. Maybe Hudson, you got a follow-up question here, or Roy, you've got something you'd like to you've been dying to say, or, oh, hey, I do have one quick question. I think did you do some on-camera work too?
I did. Yeah, it was by accident. Another platform that I've used is backstage.com. And I've actually done probably half a dozen projects through them. And I had an email one day from a producer out of New York that said, "Hey, we're doing a safety video spot, and we need somebody for that." And I said, "Hey, great, I can narrate that." And he goes, "No, it's in front of the camera." And I'm like, I'm not your guy. I mean, I got a face for radio, man. I'm not, I had acting in high school, right? Sure. So, and I'd done a little bit of work on the software side for some things like that, but nothing formal. And he goes, "No, you got a great voice. I think you're perfect for it." And it happened to be, fairly close, about an hour away from where I live. And sent me the script the night before, and it was a safety video. So it was in the summer, and it was in a warehouse. It was about 100 degrees, and I'm sweating through the shirt, trying to, and they wanted me to walk and talk and have the script memorized as I was doing it. And I started sweating so much through this blue shirt that they gave me that we took paper towels and stuck them under my shirt so they wouldn't bleed through. But it was actually a whole lot of fun. Yeah. The crew that was on site they were awesome. And it turned out to be a neat little video. So I'm not focused in that area. Yeah. But it was fun to do.
I've done about 4 or 5 of those, and they're a little nerve-wracking because they're so different, but I enjoyed those too. And here's the thing. I know there are people on Fiverr that get hired all the time, and there's some software that you can get. I don't completely understand it. You can get software with different backgrounds, like warehouse, fireplace, all these different that look real. And then you have a teleprompter, and you just get used to the script, and you read it, and it goes through, and you become their company spokesperson. So that's an option for you. I mean, you don't have a face for voiceover. You look good on camera, and
I appreciate that.
I watched your video of that on your website. I think you did very well. I really do.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
And you look jacked because you had those towel, those.
That's right.
Towels.
Need all the help I can get.
Out his shirt.
Yeah. So anyway,
a little muscle shirt underneath. Make me look,
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything more. We really appreciate. How about you, Hudson? Anything?
Not really, other than the fact that I started back in 2020, Dad. Yeah. So this is like into my second year, and it's amazing working. I haven't worked a whole lot of jobs. I worked as a personal trainer, and then I worked on an organic produce farm when I was younger, for summers and stuff like that. But like the idea that you can come in here in my room, I built this minimal equipment, and you can get paid to do it is just wild to me. It's fascinating. It doesn't seem like work. I'm getting paid to talk. Like I learned how to talk when I was, probably earlier than other people because I like to talk. But it's just, to me, it's wild. You got to learn how to give a delivery and read different types of ways and stuff like that. You have to be pretty good at reading, but it's just amazing that somebody will pay. To me, it still blows my mind that somebody pays you to sit in your room in this little box, and you do audio, you set it off, and they're like, yeah, here's $100. It's like,
right.
Doesn't feel like work. And so, anyway,
it doesn't.
It doesn't feel like work. So maybe you have this, obviously you probably feel the same way, but
yeah. And I think, you've obviously learned a lot from your dad and his success and his delivery and how professional he is. But I think people that have some life experiences, they can bring those into this because, voiceover is at its core communication. You're delivering a message with a feeling behind it as directed by the company that's hiring you, right? Mm-hmm. And being able to draw on life experiences. Not that, younger people can't do that. Mm-hmm. You obviously are very blessed that you've got somebody to kind of lead you down that path.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate.
And your voice is awesome.
Thank you.
But bringing in those life experiences, I think is something that I try and pull from. Just using my communication skills that I've learned in various aspects of my life to try and bring into whatever feeling or direction or purpose they're trying to create out of that video.
Yeah, very well said. I think, Bill has talked about, Bill DeWees has talked about, maybe you're a pastor, a former teacher, in your case, police officer, or just maybe a person that's been a father, parent, grandparent. Yeah. You have life experience. You're a storyteller. You have stories to tell. And if you can get that built into your delivery, tell somebody else's story like it's your own, boy, I tell you, there's work out there, because that's quite something. So yeah, best of luck to you. Not only, stay safe. We appreciate your police officer work. We really do.
Thank you.
And best of luck to Chandler. Keep us keep us up to date on your daughter's fishing, on your voiceover, and on what happens with his draft. Would you just at least
I will
text
do it.
us or email us?
Absolutely. You'll get videos and pictures and more stuff. You'll eventually say, okay, we've got it.
Roy, stop, please stop.
Yes.
No, we appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
enjoyed
Thanks,
it.
Roy.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
It's always fun to talk to the people that we have in VO Marketing Pro, to get to know them, because sometimes they can just be, and for me they are, because I don't do a whole lot of work. They're just names. I hear people talk about them. Yeah, right. Other people I have a little bit more, like Mike Praviti, Randy Scott. We've talked with them more, have a little bit more of a relationship with them, but it's nice to get to know Roy and who he is. He's married. He's got a son and a daughter, and his son plays rugby, which is a man's sport.
And I think he's being drafted, right?
Yes. I don't know if he was or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting to get to know other voiceover talents and what they do and where they're at, whether it's doing voiceover when they can, or doing it full time, or, switching to that. So that's kind of what I take.
Such a difference in being a police officer, I would think, and then going home where you're dealing with the public all the time, and maybe some not such fun things about the public. I can see why it'd be quite a respite to go back to your studio and just be by yourself and do something creative. So it was nice to get to know Roy.
Yeah, it was, definitely. Next up, we have our fun segment with Drew. John, will you be here?
Yes.
John will be here.
The pregnant pause. And Joe Bobby, hopefully.
And Yosef will be here. Yeah, so we'll don't know what we've got going on there, but join us for that if you're interested.
I'm most happiest about is that we don't have a time limit this week like we did last week. Remember that?
Yeah, we were right up against it. Felt like the whole time we were kind of right up against it. From the very get-go. I was very nervous.
And if you go
I saw
back
30 seconds and I got nervous it was 30 minutes.
If you go back and check, for people that watch carefully, you go back and check and you see Hudson and I was going on and on and on.
Yes, you were.
And I kind of set him up because
you were doing that on purpose, weren't you?
Because after 30 years of radio, I don't know what happens. You just have seconds and minutes in your head. And so I wasn't worried at all about talking over, because in radio, you always had to you have to hit the hard break right at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
You were listening to da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, and now here's news. And you had to hit that right at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
And so you got used to that. You got used to back timing things and figuring out how long things were. So I wasn't worried about it. But if you watch Hudson's face, he was.
The problem was you get on these rants, and it's like, we've got a time limit, and then it's going to be harder for Damon to edit if we are talking and it just turns off. Then we're going to have to go back and start it all over. And I know people don't want to do that here. And plus, I'm the executive producer, so Dad behind the scenes says, "Here, Hudson, just tell us what you want to happen and keep track of the time."
It's probably.
And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't think we're going to make this. And he said, well, we'll make it. And then we're like down to 20 seconds. And I thought, we're never going to make this.
Yeah. Probably why the executive producers are off camera.
Oh, you want me off camera now?
Well, I'm saying that so that when they're animated and they're trying to get the guy to stop, they're not on camera with
Todd,
that.
go with the script. The script's good.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so what we have here is you can see the camera there. This is going to be a high-tech operation here, I hope. What we're going to do is Drew played this weekend at the Home Talent League All-Star Game. He did it with Tim Hewitt. Tim's our coach, pitcher, utility guy. So those two guys got to go, and some of us got to watch. And Drew started at third and batted third.
Which is
highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely, but
he
like you
proved us
said
all wrong.
off camera, you said you've been hitting in the wrong spot probably your whole career. You've been hitting 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th.
Evidenced by this.
You hit 500 at the All-Star game.
Yeah, in the three spot.
Spot.
They're throwing everything good at me, and then they're like, "I got to get this guy out."
Yeah,
and I said, "You can't get me out."
In fact, the 4-hitter
second time
wasn't.
You yelled respect me. At first.
Yeah.
When you got your hit, you yelled respect me.
I didn't yell respect me, but that's
He
what
actually
I
yelled
Here,
respect
here,
me
that
before he
yelled
got
at.
into the batter's box.
Yeah.
Total transparency. I told Mom felt bad because she videoed your second at bat, which you struck out.
Right.
And when you got to strike 2, I was ready to hit the delete button
On the first video.
Yes. Because I thought he's probably going down watching or swinging.
Yeah. He's probably going down. That's what you thought. He's probably going down.
But then the pieces of the puzzle,
Tide
chess
turned.
pieces all started to go, and we'll see that, and that's what we want to react
Well,
to, right?
to a lot of the Mazo fans that have seen, and
there's a lot there you can tell.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fans.
The
that made that
problem
game.
was,
They were
okay,
there.
before Drew says this,
Tens
then
of-
you'll see there's not a lot of people in the stands. The weather was kind of,
Drury.
and it had rained
That-
all
I don't know if that
day.
would have kept.
Well, but when I went 2 years, 2018, 2019, there was a lot more people.
Because of you?
No, not because of me.
Always better.
There was a lot more people there than that. And I think some of it was because the first round of the playoffs got rained out
this year.
And so they got pushed back to what is going to be today. And I just don't think as many people wanted to come out when it was 67 degrees and
Yeah,
rainy.
it had rained most of the day. It was cloudy and overcast, but they didn't know what they missed.
No, they didn't.
The people that didn't show up, they did not know what they missed, especially in the third at bat of the bottom of the first.
Yeah.
When the game was won, basically, because I saw the air go out of that other team. They had nothing left. That was it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was the game-winning run in the first inning.
It was what you guys, the South?
Nail in the coffin.
It was
No,
the
we're the
dagger.
north
and west.
Northwest.
Yeah,
It
they
was
said. I
the
mean,
All-Star dagger.
they said if this guy keeps hitting at bats, we're not going to win this game. Right.
They actually said you had to be taken out after your second at bat.
Yeah.
They said that guy can't.
They
For us to
came-
have a chance,
They
he
came
has
up
to
to
be
me.
out
The
of the lineup.
pitchers came up to me and they said, "Do you mind, just looking bad your second at bat?
Yeah.
Just because we need a little bit of a
We need
shot
to know
in the
you're
arm
human."
here." Yeah.
And there was several women that were talking about when you got up to hit, they were asking their sons or grandsons, husbands that were playing third and short, could you move back? Because they were so afraid of your barrel.
Yep. Yeah. Let's
That
get
it
two
was gonna-
guys in left field, please. Let's stay out.
They
of
were
the
fine with
infield.
you riding a barrel, but they didn't want their loved ones to also be riding
The
that
pitcher was
barrel with
wearing one of
you.
those softball masks that the girls wear for softball.
Yeah.
Some of them, there were two people there. There was the guy from Jefferson who was about 6'5", maybe 225 pounds. He threw 91, and there was Drew, and they were saying these two guys, they don't belong in the league with these guys.
This is a home talent all-star game. This is not a major league
Did
baseball
they bring any?
all-star game.
Are there ever any scouts, like minor league or major league scouts? If there weren't, they've got the film.
There was a guy sitting next
we've
to
got
me
it.
that
Let's
was-
send it in.
That had a radar gun.
And was
seeing
there any
Drew's exit velocity off of his bat?
Was there any like parade or anything like that for past
There was not.
alumni?
No.
Like you thought you didn't know. You
I
said you
didn't
didn't
think that.
think
You
that, but
said
you said I
that.
hope not.
Hudson looked for it. He checked into it. I'm
Give
sure.
the
There's
give the
there's this-
backdrop. Give
there's
the
this-
backdrop of the
so
backstory.
my senior year of high school, we won state, and we went on multiple fire truck rides because of that. When we won to go to state to play in the state tournament, we got to ride a fire truck in Black Earth and in Mazo. Those are the two towns
villages.
that are
Make up
Wisconsin Heights. And then we won state, and we got to do 2 as well. And then we also got to be in in the Field Days
yeah.
and Wild West Days parade. So there was a lot of fire truck rides that I got to.
Weren't you in the homecoming one then too, the following year?
No,
People
talked
were
about it.
saying that there were some firefighters that were on the actual squad, the crew in Mazo that year hadn't been on
Had
the
less
truck
fire
as
truck
much
rides.
as much as Hudson had.
not
Hudson
true.
gives tutorials to people for before.
I know. I've had more rides than
He gives ride information and like, okay, now
how
this is
to
where you want to
successfully
sit.
ride
Yep.
on a fire truck.
Yeah.
Did
But
our
now we've
taxes-
how
did
did
our
we get
taxes go up? That
we
year?
got on Hudson now in his baseball, and we've gotten off of
When
Drew.
we're
and I
talking
can see that
baseball, that's
Drew
what
is
always
not,
happens.
common.
That's
Oh,
Drew's
no,
not happy.
I
Sorry.
don't care.
Well, let's
Yeah.
play that,
Roll
and
the clip
hopefully
here.
Demand can. We'll
Sync it up.
just play it, and we can talk through it as it's going. Hopefully, we can hear it.
So who's gonna give the play? Are we gonna have somebody give the play-by-play? I mean, you lived it, Drew. Even though you can't see,
It's going to
the
show
screen.
on the screen so people can see what's
Okay.
going on.
But will you remember it? And can you by this, because you're not able to see it right here while we're doing it in real time? Will you be able to kind of comment on what was going on in your head? Because that's
A couple
what.
of us haven't seen it, so we could
The-
kind of
the-
react, and then
yeah.
he could give
Okay.
us
The
what
problem
was in his
is-
mind.
yeah.
And what
Well,
the
afterwards,
idea.
tell us
What we
because
need to do is play it all the way through so it's easiest for not stop it and stuff
Okay.
like that, because that'll be hard for Damon
No.
to then in post to put on there. So let's watch it all the way through. We can comment on it as it's going, and then once it's done, we can do those things if that's okay. Thank you.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do anything.
I'll kick you out. I'll throw you out.
All right, here
All
we
right,
go.
here we
Here we go.
Stepping up to the plate,
Yeah.
as you can see.
Looking at the third base coach. Why would you need to look at the third base coach when you're hitting 3?
You wanted to be prepared just in case you want me to drop down a bunt
Yeah, right. Giving you a home run
signal.
Right
Good
down
eye.
the middle. Right
Good
down the middle. What was he throwing? 75, maybe 80? Oh, he was throwing faster.
He was
than
probably throwing 80.
80.
Yeah. I thought
Strike one.
Yeah.
Drew looked over at him like this at the pitcher. He went,
It's two great
great players
competitors
going at it.
Yep. Back in the box.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Strike again, and I thought
I saw that one
When I
again.
got out of the box that after that first strike, I could have swore that the third base coach gave me a take sign again. And I looked
Let's
kind of
get this over
frustrated.
with.
Yeah.
Here. Now this,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to hit the
Yeah.
delete button.
No, that's high.
It's a ball. It's a ball high.
Good look though, because
I
sometimes
stayed with it.
Stayed
with it.
was
He was
high
trying to
down.
expand his
sometimes,
zone, keep
yeah.
it eye level.
Uh-huh.
Drew
Stay-
said, I've
stay
seen that
tall.
before.
Drew looked at that and said, that's bait.
Guy in first, just so you know.
Pass.
Got behind him.
Pass ball.
Exactly what Drew was setting the table
Yeah.
for.
What was he? Was it a pass ball or was it a wild pitch?
That was a wild
It was a wild pitch.
Okay.
But the point being is Drew forced that guy because he was overthrowing because he knew he had to give his best
He
stuff.
said, I can't
is
throw anything
this-
down the middle.
This is what's coming up. Is this too loud? Is when it hits
No.
the barrel, is it going to blow out the speakers?
It
here?
might.
Yeah, that was fun.
There's Deuce from Black Earth.
Yeah.
Ribby.
That's where he's yelling, respect me.
And that's the first time Eric Dewar has cheered for a Mazo guy
Yeah.
in his whole
It was
life.
very hard for him, I'm sure.
He looked like he was,
enjoying it.
genuinely happy.
Yeah.
There it is.
Well, you guys won 5-4, so that Ribby
Yeah.
that you had was basically
It was the
one
walk
game.
off in the first inning.
Yep.
You
We could have been
basically
done
won.
right then and there.
They actually, the city of Madison, they had some police officers sent to the field
For
because they have an
fireworks.
ordinance, a sound. It was too loud.
Noise ordinance.
The crack of the bat was just too loud.
They said, we can't have this. People are trying to sleep. You can't be getting barrels out here while people are sleeping.
Yeah, I mean, this is the 12th of August. What are we doing? This is not the 4th of July.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a good thing
Fireworks
I wasn't
are over.
it's a good thing I wasn't 1 through 9 hitter. If I would have been the 1 through 9, it would have been absolute fireworks.
They would have started the dun 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 dun, dun
Yeah,
and all
true.
the fireworks. Hey, what were you? Walk us through just real quickly. What were you thinking? About just like what, especially when you got
your
that second
approach?
strike.
What was your
Honestly,
approach?
what were you thinking? What was your approach? What was your mindset? Were you just honestly just kind of feeling like, stick a fork in me, I'm done here? Or were you saying, no, I'm going to try to foul it off, try to go down swinging? What were you thinking, honestly?
Yeah, no, I think that probably several years ago, I would have thought that. I would have thought, oh boy, I just looked at 2 strikes. One I thought was a little low and inside, and I thought, I'm not sure I could have done anything with that. But yeah, several years ago, I probably would have been like, first of all, why am I at an all-star game? And well, I was thinking that anyway. This game,
Because back then we would have asked you what the first thing you're not.
is an all-star.
And you're not an all-star.
Here's the first thing you're not. You're not an all-star.
Let's start with the first thing you're not.
Yeah.
There it is.
But no, I wasn't. I just was thinking. I assumed after his first two, he had me down 0-2. I just kind of assumed he would throw me an off-speed pitch. So I was just trying to make sure that I was going to be disciplined in where he threw it. And if it looked like it was started low, like a curveball or something, I was just going to try to lay off of it and see if I couldn't get to a better count so I could get a better pitch. But then he threw a high fastball, and right away out of his hand, I could tell it was probably, but I tried to stay with it, and then the second ball was so easy to lay off of. Again, I couldn't believe he threw me another fastball. I was like,
Well,
what are you doing throwing?
And you told me in a private conversation that you were thinking, it's not how hard I hit it. It's how hard I see it.
That's true.
That's what your thought was.
This was before he got back up for the next pitch?
No, he just
in a
after
private
the game
conversation?
we were talking,
Okay.
and I just wanted to hear what one of the greats was thinking, and so you can keep going. But that was one of the things you said.
True.
What do you see? Fastball and react to curve?
You look fastball, react to a curve.
That's what Drew always says.
Well,
too.
Drew's been there so many times before.
Yeah.
Doesn't he want to fight to keep the hands back too?
Fight to keep the hands up
Mm-hmm.
and get the top half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all important things as a hitter. Were you going to say something else? Go ahead.
I definitely saw you load and go.
And go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I started loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but I always start loaded.
You ended goated.
There you go. So, yeah, anyway, when the guy got to second, then that's when I locked in. And that's when I said, listen, I only hit ribbies. I only hit RBIs.
No.
I was ready to go down, swinging, looking. I didn't care how I'd walk. But, once that guy got to second, and as you saw, I pointed out in the camera. People will think I was pointing to the runner to get to second.
Right.
That was a secondary. I was pointing to where I was going to hit
Calling
it.
his shot.
I just knew that's where if they would have seen that, if they would have known me, studied a little tape, they would have said, oh, he's coming to me on this one. They would have moved in the right spot. But
Well, and if they were watching your tape, they all would have been on the left side of the field because that's where you usually hit it.
wow.
And you hit it right up the middle.
Drew's changed his
approach.
abilities.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Many
learned how to hit.
abilities.
But like
There
all-
was a joke that he couldn't hit the ball the other way.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
And that was a
Jokes
couple
on
years
them.
ago.
Mhm.
And so
Jokes on them at the All-Star
So now
game.
he's just he's
That's
opened
what's
up
made him an all-star.
Pandora's
Being able
box
to
of
find that other
base
side of
hits.
the field.
But then the fifth pitch, he threw me 5 straight fastballs.
Yeah.
And then he threw me another one, and I thought, well, I've seen this guy before. You can turn this guy right around.
I think when you were
Did you say,
swinging, I
hey,
think
maybe you want to mix it up a little bit?
I think when you were swinging, you said, "This isn't high school, buddy."
Yeah.
Well, the other
barreled it
coach,
up.
didn't he say he can't hit your fastball to the pitcher that was throwing?
Oh, yeah. Up until that point, it
Little
looked like
did
that
he
was
know.
the case.
I still think like the greats, like Larry Bird and Wayne Gretzky, they'll talk about how the game just is slow for them, and they'll play games, even like All-Star game. They'll play games like shoot left-handed for the whole quarter or something. I watched as you manipulated that first at bat, got them comfortable, thinking you were just this small guy, and then you got that guy to second, and then ribby.
He said, "Let's see if I can get down 0-2 and come back and still do something."
That's a little bit fun. A little bit.
I just
of a
want to
game,
challenge myself. It's just
gamesmanship.
too
Yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, those first two, I can hit those any day, all day.
Yep.
And so, give me
Batting
something
practice.
to work with here.
Yeah.
I'll get down 0-2, get behind here, and then
I'll
I'm
give
going to
you a
really
chance.
show you.
Yeah.
I'll give you the pitcher the
I mean,
chance.
this is an all-star game, right?
It's only
Throw me
even.
something better than that.
It's only even between you and a pitcher if you're down 0-2. Usually they start out 0-0, but for a pitcher to really feel like it's even, he's got to be up 0-2 on you.
The only bad part about the whole event was, like I said, you could just hear the air get sucked out of the other team, the life, and the whole stadium was just basically quiet the rest of the night.
There are a few
was,
guys from the other dugout that packed up their stuff and left. They said, "Guys, game's over. Game is over."
Well, the All-Star game is supposed to be fun, but
Yeah.
you have a tendency to just take the life out. When you are up to bat and you have those kind of hits.
I ruined that guy's night.
You ruined it. You ruined the time a little
We should
bit.
check
That
and
guy
see
has
if- is he
parents
still
and
playing?
family, and they wanted to see him do well. And you,
Is he going to be continuing to play baseball? Because usually once you become an all-star, you think, wow, I've made it. But now after you hit off of him, he might just say, I'm done.
there's more levels to this.
Yeah.
In all honesty and seriousness, you basically went as a pitcher because you had a good year. And were you the top pitcher in the league? No, but you did a really nice job this year. Pitched within yourself, won some games, kept the team close. What was your record? 10 on Sunday?
3. We didn't hit particularly well. Our offense didn't particularly do well this year.
You and
like
Tim
we
did
the year
well again
before.
this year, and you did especially well. And
Jeff.
so I think, and that just shows what kind of an athlete you are, because you go to an all-star game basically as the pitcher, and then you play third base and barrel up.
Yeah.
Pitchers aren't supposed to be able to hit, not pitchers like you. No. And boom.
But I heard some people were saying, is that Shohei Ohtani out there? So
Somewhere I felt like that was a compliment. I'm not sure if it was, but it felt like that was
That was
maybe
not a compliment.
That was not a compliment.
Well, that's
Anyway,
great.
that was fun.
It was fun to watch you play. It really was. It was fun.
It is fun to
see you
watch.
succeed in your first all-star game.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
of many.
Yeah, first
Yeah. No, and there were those all-star games. There probably, I would say, half of the players that are there are truly the all-stars of their team, and then there's maybe the other half that are upper tier of their team, but maybe the best or second best player has gone several times, and so they send their second or third best player or something like that. And then there was Mazo and us, and I probably was the 6th or 7th best player on our team, and so.
But you pitched. I mean, they needed pitching. The problem is this year for the All-Star game, like I said, the playoffs last week got canceled,
Right.
And so some of the teams that would have been playing and would have lost last week probably
Right.
would have had
Send
their
a
best
better
players
player.
coming, but they didn't want to use up because it was a Friday night. That today, the next Sunday, 2 days later, they had a playoff game. So they probably didn't want to use up their best players, maybe get injured, have a guy throw and his arm not be ready. So that's part of it. But it is true that sometimes teams won't always send their
Their very best
player every time. It'll be, like you said, their third guy. Or maybe it's even a guy who had a really good year for his standards, hit, maybe 330 or something like that. You're like, that guy played well enough to be an all-star. So we'll,
As you think about next year being most likely voted by your teammates to the All-Star game again, will you take it because you say, hey, I need to go back again because the fans need to see me, especially a larger group, it'll probably be a nicer night? Or will you say, once is enough, let the kids, let the other kids have a chance? Will you kind of be that type of an all-star? Will you say, hey, I've had my chance. Let some of the younger guys have a chance to enjoy what I enjoyed.
Honestly, I think that I would go as many times as they wanted me to go because I don't know how they're going to score runs without me there.
and the fans
That's a
need you
good
to be
point.
there.
So
And you want to see some offense.
yeah,
You don't
right.
want it to be a pitcher's
yeah, that's
duel.
right. I mean, it could have very easily been a 4-0 game, and I. Yeah, I mean, you don't want that.
Were you able to take it all in? I mean, just all the sights and sounds, and to know that. I mean, you never know. I mean, you could get injured. There's just all sorts of things. You don't know what next year is going to bring. Were you able to take it all in?
It was just really important to just play the first 3 innings because I was locked in. I got there early, got there ready to go, and then I let it all soak in. Innings 4 through 9, I was the greatest teammate. I was
All-star
coaching guys.
teammate,
I was
all-star.
coaching guys and talking about how to swinging. I was like, hey, listen, we got some problems here with our mechanics. We'd go back. They have a little bit of a bullpen area there, and we were kind of working on some swings. And I was walking out with the pitchers and walking them through, kind of throwing strikes and just trying to get
They seemed
the
to like that,
fundamentals.
didn't they?
Yeah. No, so that was really important. I think.
Did you take any time to, like some of those professionals, they're like on their parade after a championship and they'll be taping the crowd. Did you take that, or did you just?
I left my phone. I wanted to be on.
One of the things that you've always said to me that you're really working on is just being present.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just trying to be present.
Yeah.
You know, unplugging from social media and just be present.
Yeah.
So that's the answer to that.
Well, it was
you were
well documented by everybody else there that he knew he was going to see it at some, but he wanted it to be documented by other people.
And I think this podcast, I'm predicting that this podcast, number 20, is going to be a big one simply because people of Mazo and baseball fans around the world and sports fans, just generally sports fans, they're going to watch that and it's going to be meaningful to them.
This is a touching sports story. You don't even have to be a baseball fan.
Just be a person.
Yeah.
Just be a human being. And this is
It's almost it's close to a Make-A-Wish, but basically was what I had going on.
Tom
there.
Rinaldi to kind of make us all cry here.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about it.
Yeah. So, but if you do watch on that, I didn't notice it at first because I was just watching such a beautiful line drive, and then I started taking in
an out of body experience. Watching
yeah. I felt like I was watching somebody else.
That's why I know
So
you
I
enjoyed it.
felt like I was watching somebody better at the plate. Yeah.
Wait a second,
this can't be happening to me.
I almost didn't start running because I just thought, wow, that was a really great hit by that person. Yeah, but I was watching. Then as I got to first, I noticed that the guy that was on second had just rounded third, and I thought, well, you may not get there. That may, hey, I didn't wait 0-2 for you to finally get to second base just to watch you get thrown out of third.
It was really nice. He was fortunate because your ball was hit so hard. It stunned the center fielder when it got to him. He thought, I've never fielded a ball that's been hit this hard.
I thought he was running back to the fence.
So he almost threw it.
Trying to get a
he
good
almost
angle
threw it
at
to the
it.
left fielder as the cut instead of throwing it into the infield. So that's why.
Yeah, that was kind of weird, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy on second, we need to talk about some base running there because
he obviously thought that you had hit it too hard.
Yeah.
He wasn't at the All-Star for his base running.
Did you get a chance to kind of coach him up a little bit? Because if not, I know that if I had a guy like you that played like you and carried himself like you, an all-star, that even if you called him up and said, hey, Jim, let's call him Jim, let's get together and let's talk a little bit about how you did on base running. And maybe there's some other things you'd like to kind of sit at my feet and let me talk you through. What do you think about that?
I went up to Middleton because Middleton's head coach was there, and I said, listen, this is going to get awkward if I have to talk to your player about this. So let's address this. Let's just address this, Brandon.
He said,
I'm going to have to.
Did you call him Brandon? Because
that's his name.
I mean, you're right, but I mean, usually you call him coach, but
Skip.
because you guys are maybe you.
He said to him, I don't know what you guys do at Middleton, but at Mazo, where we do things right,
we run things out.
That ball's down. You're scoring.
Yeah.
Up. Come on in. I told Mom she could bring cookies in.
Oh, okay. Come on in.
And Mom is the first one in the penalty box because she's interrupted
Show the camera the googs.
Mom just go.
They can't
close,
see it
close.
from there.
Oh, close up.
Show you can see yourself. See yourself. Show it up there.
yeah.
There you go. Oh,
Becky's delicious chocolate chip and what?
M&Ms.
M&Ms.
Are you gonna just give them to us, or are you gonna stay? Nope.
All right.
Should I stay or should I go?
Who wants one?
We've got about
Now
4.5
recording.
minutes here,
Can't do that
so
with
we
Kale.
can. That's okay. Cal's gonna have to deal with it.
All right, Val.
Sorry,
I'm good,
Calbert.
I'll just take in the
Donka. Man, this is just
Thank you, Becky.
first rate.
Thanks.
Did you not get one, Johnny?
I'm good right now. I'll just.
Thanks.
No penalty box for you because you gave us something.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So, what do you want to do? Do you want to just call her good right there, and
that was probably
we'll come
good
back
enough.
for some more of today in history?
We
Or
don't have to. I
or-
mean,
have we had enough? Do we have enough, or do we want to talk about these cookies real quick?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna kill me.
You drop one.
But right on the thing there.
Okay.
You're good. Right out of the oven.
They have chocolate chips in them?
Yeah, chocolate chips
And
and
M&Ms.
M&Ms. It looks like. Need some milk. That's what you need with that.
Give us just one. Is there anything just as we close up here?
Let's get through as many of those as we can.
We don't have enough time. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead, Dad. We can do them next week.
But it won't be
Okay.
today in history.
Go ahead, Dad.
How much time we got?
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
We need to talk sometime.
Wow.
In no time like the present. About, we talked right at the beginning that we're thinking of maybe having our podcast kind of go in two directions. One is more of a voiceover where we do Todd's tips and
Numbers.
John our numbers for VO Marketing Pro and then Hudson and I, and then have some voiceover related stuff. And then have this part, the second part, or the podcast actually be us talking about things like this or having fun, but also have local guests and have like news from Wisconsin Heights, the district.
News from the area.
Stuff that we see around town. Because there's stuff happening all the time in Mazo, and fun stuff and interesting stuff. Like there's going to be Wild West days, and there's just always news happening in Mazo. Little towns are full of news that people know each other's business, and there's always something happening. And it's big news, even though it's tiny news. And then we're having guests. We've had BJ and William Ruland so far. We've had Scott Johannick, Cal Handel, and this next week we're having Mel and Jeff Yasik for sure, and we might probably
it'll air on the next podcast,
right?
This next coming week.
But coming up,
Jeff and
coming up, we've got Mel and Jeff Yasik. They're our next door neighbor, but Jeff is the Packer fan Hall of Famer. Right now, and we're going to talk to him about that. So stay tuned.
That'll be episode 21.
Yep. And then probably 22, at least locally, we'll hopefully release an interview with Scott Moore.
Someone Joe's worked with and stuff like that. Yeah.
Principal of the K-5 now at Wisconsin Heights.
Yeah, the new building, the multi-million-dollar building. Yep. So that's all. I just wanted to kind of give a little promo, tease that, because that's big. I mean, that's big news. Jeff's going to be up here next week and on the podcast.
And we'll tell you more about what our plans are for
that's good.
the
More.
Well, I'm just saying that
Scott
Dad teased it about how we're gonna set everything up. So we'll do more of that. This was the 20th episode. Thanks. Hopefully Damon can get that up so you guys can at least see what was going on. Otherwise, you'll be just hearing us talk about it. That'll be interesting. So this is the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast signing off. Did you like that video? Check out more from the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast right over here. Or subscribe to our channel right here.